This is my how-to geared towards presenting yourself through an online meeting place using some tools to represent yourself professionally without all of the top-of-the-line equipment. Shortly after the pandemic, we all were looking for a way to remain in contact with one another, with our teams, communities, friends, and family, while maintaining social distance for safety. Platforms such as Teams, Zoom, and Meet became widely accepted as meeting places, allowing these groups to remain in contact and safe from possible exposure. In the last several years, we have all been victims of meetings where not all participants presented at their best. We start the meeting in a traditional manner. Are you there? I think you're muted. Mom, I think your camera is being covered by your webcam, and many others. This guide will allow new and advanced users to navigate their system sources, making upgrades to your current streaming hardware and software, and dial in your audio and video settings both within the system settings as well as the platform that you're working from. So to get started, what I wanted to open up first was our Open Broadcaster software. To download it, you're going to just go to obsproject.com and you're going to select the version that you need for your system. We're going to use a Windows system, so we'll click on the Windows download. It'll bring us to our OBS Windows download page. Open Broadcaster software was created as a means to be a digital mixer for all sorts of sources, whether that be video coming in, audio coming in. You can capture with it. We're capturing with it right now. And a slew of other really amazing features. It's a very powerful piece of software. We're just going to be using a very small feature from it so that we can really fine-tune our video and then use the virtual camera from it as our source for our meeting. So again, we're going to start up by downloading it. We've clicked on the Windows, it's starting to download. I'll show that here, and we'll let that download. Okay, so our download is completed. We're just going to open up the OBS Studios executable here. It's going to prompt for us to install the software. Okay, we're going to say yes. I think I clicked it twice. All right, so we'll say yes, then we'll hit next. Read our license information agreement. Next again. Where we're going to set this. We'll start extracting all the files. All right, we've made it to the end of our download and installation. So if we want to review the most recent release notes, we may, or we can just launch. We'll hit finish to do that. I no longer need my browser here. Save up some space. I'm going to close that up, and it'll launch our OBS Studios instance. So again, OBS Studios, it's open source, so it's got a wonderfully active community that's always building new features for this program. I originally started using it as a platform to stream from, to not one, but multiple different platforms, combined with some other tools. However, it was just a nice way to keep everything together, because when you're streaming, you're going to be focusing on more than one source at a time and putting it all out to one place. So you have to really get organized with those sources, and this is one tool to help you do that. So first thing it's going to ask you for is how you would like to use the tool. Again, like I said, I started using this for streaming. Gives you the option to optimize this for your use. You can optimize it for streaming, for recording, like we're doing now, or you can use just the virtual camera. For our purpose, we're just going to be using the virtual camera, so we'll select that option. We're going to hit Next. It's going to ask us about the settings that it's going to apply. So these are it'll automatically do that based on your that are ideal for your machine. And you just click Apply Settings down here at the bottom. Note for Windows users, it's going to give us some heads up. We'll skip through that. Now, this is a blank scene canvas for our scenes to start compiling. Like I said, you have a place to create new scenes depending on your needs. So let's get started. To create a new scene, we're going to make sure that we click here. This is scene. This is the first one. This is our origin scene. We can rename that if we like. Let's go ahead and rename that to virtual camera. If we like the settings for one and we need to tweak it slightly, we can always come back and create a new scene. But for now, we'll just start with our virtual camera. Now, we don't have any sources, it says, so we have to click the plus button. Now, to do that, I'm going to, there we go. Okay, now we can see our plus button. All right, so we don't have any sources, so you see this is what's picking up our audio. And then these are some of our controls over here. But first off, we need to put something in this box. So the source that we're going to be focusing on is our camera source. So let's go over to the plus and see what we have for video capture sources. So this has all the options you can add, but we're just focused on video capture device. Click on that. It's going to say, hey, would you like to create a new source from scratch or add an existing? Once you do this once, anything you've created will show up here and you can reuse it. So you are really building your repertoire of sources within this platform. So for now, we're just going to do webcam. And if you had different webcams, you could select which webcam you were using or whatnot. So right now, it's not showing any cameras because I don't believe I have any cameras plugged in. So let's try to plug one in and see what we get. Alrighty. I'm going to use that Windows HD web camera, or the Microsoft one. Sorry, Microsoft HD camera. Plug that in via USB. We get the ding. Got a little blue light. Okay, it's not showing up through my virtual machine. Not a problem. We'll get that sorted and we're going to move over. All right, very good. Be right back. All right, everybody. So I've switched this over to my own computer as opposed to our practice computer, just so we could get a feel for creating a new scene in OBS Studios. So I've already gone ahead and opened up a second instance over here for our learning. I've created a new scene by hitting the plus sign and calling it virtual camera. So you're going to see some movement here, but right now there's nothing in the sources, so none of that's going to be captured except for on the instance that I'm running it to record this. So let's get going adding some sources. So I have gone ahead and plugged in the webcam that I would like to start using as a video source. So to add that video source, you're going to hit the plus sign down here under sources. And you know what? Let me blow that up for you a little bit. There we go. Okay, just so we can all see what's going on here, I'm going to actually make this a little smaller. Oop. Okay, just so we can really take a look at this part, not so much our preview screen. So we're going to go under sources, we're going to hit the plus sign, And it's going to give you a lot of options for which source you would like to add to your source list. For our purpose, like I said, we're going to be using a video capture device. That would be this one right here. You're going to click that, and it's going to ask which one you would like to do. For you, you won't see any add existing, and I'm just going to, for the purpose of this how-to, go ahead and create a new. We're going to call it webcam. You can call it whatever you like. As you can see, some of my existing sources are labeled based on the type of web camera we were using. So I have a couple of Logitech cameras and the HP web camera that we're actually going to be adding again. You can add them as many times as you like, but once you've added it once, it will show up under existing sources. So you can just feel free to re-add sources to new scenes at a later time. So for now, we're going to go ahead and click OK. That's going to add that down to our source list after we've gone ahead and adjusted all the properties. You can already see me. Oh, excuse me. So as you can see, I've got, it's running off of my, it's going to ask me which camera I'm going to be using. So the camera that I want to use is not the camera off my laptop. However, I'd like to use this camera instead. So to do that, what we're going to do is we are going to set that back up here, and we have to select which device this webcam is considering. So we drop it down again. Anything that's plugged in is going to show up here. Okay. Now we also notice that it's already noticing the virtual camera that we're trying to set up. If we select that now, it's not set up. So we're going to have this, I believe, yeah, there you go, the non-connected OBS symbol. So that's not a camera we can use. But we are going to use the Microsoft LifeCam HD 3000. That's the one I was just holding. Once we select it, it lit up for me. And now you can see it's a slightly closer, slightly more clear picture of myself. And you can go down and configure this quite a bit. So some of the settings that I like to look at, of course, are the resolution of the camera. If you click custom, right now, if you have default, none of this is really available to us. So we want to make sure that we click on custom, so we open up those options to us. It's going to reset for a moment. And then once it does that, it should find us in a moment. This can happen. It's still thinking. Huh. Well, let's see what else I need to click. So we have something is overloaded is what's happening, and it's not going to notice this until we kind of go through and define some of these parameters. I usually like to do the color space as much as I can, so it picks up as many colors as possible. The color range is full, same deal, full range of color. The buffering might be what it's going through right now. Let's disable buffering, see what happens for this camera. Disable. Well, it didn't like that. So, you know what? Let's just go with device default. Yep. Okay. It likes that one much better. There's nothing in, maybe there aren't any resolution settings that I can select with this particular camera. Each camera is going to be different for what settings are available to customize for your needs. I'm going through a lot of, see how the lighting is just adjusting and adjusting and adjusting. It's going up and down and up and down. It could be our color space. Let's go to default here. Try that one out. And have we stabilized our color? We have. It's not trying to figure out what color it needs to focus on right now. And the range, oh, it's doing it again. Let's go to default as well. Okay. Really doesn't like my lighting in this situation. So these are things to consider. Let's go into the buffering and check out enabling the buffering. It's resetting again. I'm going to want to move around just to kind of see how it reacts to that setting change. Looks like the color on my face is stabilized, but I do see some flickering around the edges. So, something to consider. Let's see. At this point, I also like to acknowledge that you can mess with your, well, we can do that a little later actually, but let's say you're suspending this camera, which I've had to do it sometimes. You can flip that camera upside down so that it matches your orientation of how you've placed your camera. Let's say we're suspended. There we are. So then you can do that right there as like a base line, and now we're upside down again, so we'll flip back over. There we are. Okay, so we don't have to, but if it's suspended and you just want it to always know that it's upside down, you can click that right there. And then if there's any rotational data, this would be like if you had a cell phone that had, you know, that it knew when it was rotating around and flipping its orientation. Most of the time your webcam is not going to have rotational data, but if it did, that's why it says if any, you can apply that. We're going to leave that one alone. Let's uncheck that too. It's going to reset itself and think. Now it's back. All right, so in the audio output mode, capture audio only. You can also have it put an output, so it can, if this webcam has a microphone in it, which I believe this one does, we just want to set it to capture audio only. We don't want it to go output, but if we did, we can always select to send out. That's going to be a little more advanced on the audio side of things. And for our purpose, we're using a custom audio device. Actually, this may cause some doubling when we go to record. If we use a custom audio device, we're going to be focused on the headset, which we have plugged in, and that's another source we'll go to add later as well. So let's go ahead and use custom audio device. Okay. All right, so our first source is in, and you can see our waveforms are moving. Very nice. You also notice that my picture is very small, so we're going to actually go ahead and blow that up. You just click and drag. You can center it. You can do all sorts of things, but for what we're doing, we're just going to drag it to the edges, center it the best we can, and there we go. Now we have an image. So what we're doing with this image is we can do a lot. For us, what we're going to do is, let's go ahead and transform this, and we want it to fit to the screen. That's the first transform we're going to do. Transform is going to be helpful for like centering and all sorts. So there we go. We fit it to the center and center most of the screen. Now it's considering the entire preview screen on our OBS Studios. Okay, once we've got that set, then we get to do some fun stuff. Okay, I'm back. So I was just making sure that I had masks ready to go. What are masks? So you can see that we have a nice, square image of our webcam. But let's say you don't want to be the average webcam in the room and you want to just look a little more polished off. So what we can do now that we have an image here in OBS Studios is we can add a filter. We can do a lot of things with filters, and one of those things we can do is an image mask. An image mask is essentially, it tells the source where to put the image and where not to put the image. And it's really just a difference between a white or a black space in what's known as an image mask. We can apply said mask and change the output of our image. So to do that, what we're going to do, we'll find our source here. We're going to right click. Right here above properties, you're going to find filters. We'll click on filters. It's going to show us what we have here for an image. We're going to click on the plus sign under Effect Filters, and you're going to find one called Image Mask or Blend. We'll click on that. Now, I will attach on so you can see my eyes. I will attach on the final all these image files or mask files just so you can find them because they are really cool. I found these online. You can usually find them online free, but really you can go into Paint and kind of once you learn what an image mask is, you could theoretically do this out of any shape that you're willing and able to create on your own, whether that be through Paint, 3D, Krita, some other, digital media. You can do it's very simple. Let me show you what I mean. So the name of the filter, we're just going to call this mask 1, just for fun. We'll press OK. And it's going to, again, like a source, ask us what would it like us to use. So we want an alpha mask or a color channel. And it's going to be the first thing. It's the only thing I think you can choose. You're going to click what mask are you using. So it's going to open us up. I already grabbed the path and I grabbed a couple of different ones to play with. So let's do a 4x3 first. And like I said, it's really just a difference between the white or the black. These cut off the corners in a nice rounded way, and this just circles you out. Let's try this one, just because this one has nice big, it's called very, very rounded, if you're looking at which one that was. And there we go. Now we have nice rounded corners. So we will, you have the opacity, which is like, how much you want to show up on the white space. We're going to want that fully, we'll get into opacity for green screen stuff. That's a whole nother thing, and we'll have some fun with that too. All right, but for now, we've got our corners cut. Nice and simple, easy peasy. Yeah, you could just take a rectangle corner, circular rectangle tool, find a nice black background and then cut out the white. Now you have your image, you have your mask. So good to go there. Let's say add a mask. So if we were to stop here, this might be enough for some. Totally fine. We just want to maybe clean up the image that's being output, and I'll show you that next. Let me just go ahead and open up. Let's do this in let's open up a sample Zoom. So I'll open up Zoom here. Get that over here for us. All right, so we have OBS running in the background. We're going to go into our account. Yep, I'm in my right account. Very good. Okay, and let's open up a practice meeting. So for us, we're just going to open up our personal room for starters. So we'll go into Zoom, go into meetings, just as we would. Personal room. And we'll start our personal room. There we go. If you don't have Zoom downloaded, it's going to ask if you're allowed to run it through the browser application. You can press always. Open Zoom meetings. Totally fine. Select that there. It's going to populate our room. Here we are. It's coming over on my other screen. Let me pull that over for us. All right. There we are. And of course, it's going to ask, do you want to join with computer audio? Yes, we do. All right. Now, we're already joined, and you do see some microphone activity down here. All right. Let's get that source in there. All right. So what do we have for options? Right now, we have the HP HD camera. Won't work right now. We also can't use the Microsoft. Oh, wait, let's see. Maybe we can. Okay, I apologize. Let's try our laptop webcam. Okay, cool. So we do have our grainy laptop camera, all of our borders, right? And okay, so first point of switching our video source, helpful little caret right here for Zoom, allows you to very quickly select the camera source. So we're looking at the HP HD camera. We have the Microsoft LifeCam. This might not work right now because I'm currently using it in OBS, so the source only likes to be in one place at one time. It doesn't like to be pulled in multiple directions, but just for learn purpose, let's try that. It's going to think for a second, and we're frozen. It don't like it at all, so I don't think it likes it. Now, let's just, out of curiosity, see. It's still working here. So it's the source is live. It's just not working. If this has ever happened to you, check that all the other things are off before you try using that as the camera. We're not using Streamlabs, but this is our OBS desktop camera, or I'm sorry, our OBS virtual camera, and you can see it's off right now. Now let's pull up this is our OBS instance where we were building in it. And let's minimize it just a smidge. Okay, great. Now let's put this one over here. Put this one over here. Right? Hey, get over here. Get over here. Let's move our, if it'll grab for me. There we go. Oh my. Let's see. Okay, snap for me, friend. And, okay, we're having trouble. I'm running too many things at once, and that's totally fine. Limitations of your computer. Windows. There we go. Okay. The Windows and the left key can send it off to the side. Okay, so as you can see, our source that we've selected is thinking. The source we've selected is not showing up here. It's thinking. There we go. Source we have selected should be the OBS virtual camera. I am thinking way too hard. So, for those viewing at home, I am currently recording all of my action on one instance of OBS over here. Over here, on another screen, I have another instance of OBS Studios, which you can see on the right, and then my Zoom, which is totally topping out all my RAM and just making my computer go way, way, way slow. So if you bear with me here, we are selected as OBS Virtual Camera. Let's go ahead and turn that camera on. To do that, we're going to go ahead and select Start Virtual Camera. Hey, hi Ryan, how you doing? Yeah, exactly. So now we're in two places. I hope this isn't too distracting, but we are currently using the OBS virtual camera as our new camera source. See all the black on the outside? Let's see what happens when well, if I just click and drag, you're gonna skew yourself. Oh, I guess you're not. Oh, we'll move ourselves to one side. We don't want that. What I do want to do, remember we centered this at the beginning, I want to really shrink this up and make this just a little square. So I'm going to take the Alt button and I'm going to, oh, that's not what I want either. I'm sorry, Control button to trim, trim, trim. Oh, that's not going to do it either. All right, well, Control Z. Like I said, you have a lot of control in this. You can make yourself all over the place. If we don't like when our right hand goes up, this is my right hand, I am showing how I want to show on the Zoom meeting. But on OBS, we notice that I'm right hand, left hand. So just kind of know which one's which, when you play with it, like we're testing now, to see which one you want to be presenting with, because we all have a good side. We all have a good, maybe I want my Milwaukee label to show when I'm talking to people and blah, 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 blah. My right hand to go up, my left hand to go up. It's just kind of a preference thing there. We want to make sure that, so we know that our camera's there, but if we ever wanted to flip that, let's say it was backwards, I'm in the right spot right now. If we wanted to flip that again, we're going to right click on our preview we're going to right click on our source that we're addressing. We're going to go to transform. We're going to go over to flip horizontally, and look, now I'm looking the other way. Hello Ryan, how are you? So it's all about how you want it to be set up. If you want to undo something, Control Z is still your friend in OBS. Wonderful hotkeys there. Stop bumping the table. Okay, great. So that's that. Yeah, so that's how you get your virtual camera into the meeting as a source. Okay, so we have our virtual camera set up and we look nice and fancy with our cut off corners, and we're oriented in the right way that we want to be oriented for our viewer. But hey, you can't hear me. What's going on? Most of the time, I'm going to minimize this, and if I'm doing this in real time, I have my OBS scene set up. Everything's where I want it to be. We're good to go. I'm going to minimize that here. Just open up Zoom full so we can focus on that. It's really slow right now. Hang on. There we go. We can be centered. That's okay. Again, these up carrots are your best friend as far as picking your sources in Zoom. So you're going to click here and make sure it's set on virtual camera for our needs, or any other source that you were looking to use. And then the same goes for your audio. We've all run into the issue where we run into a meeting right on time and we're excited to be there early, and we start our presentation and then everybody goes, "Can't hear you. What's going on? Hey, what's going on?" So same thing here. Make sure that your source is matching what you want to use as your microphone. So I have a microphone set as my Plantronics black wire headset. That's the microphone that I'm using. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And then the speaker, you want also to match your speaker that you want to use. Sometimes you can set it to if your monitor has speakers built in, or if your laptop has speakers built in, which they do. You can accidentally set it to those, and then you've got volume coming out. Let me just set this to this so that we know. Okay, so you'll have, if you have your speaker set to your laptop and your microphone set to your headset, you might hear it through there, but then also your microphone is going to pick it up. So anytime somebody else talks, you're going to have that feedback loop, and it's just gross and no good. So we don't want any of that. So we want to make sure that our sources are set where they need to be so that we are heard when we speak, and that we're only listening to what we want to listen to, and that our viewers are only getting our voice and not their voice as well. So make sure you have a closed loop in some way so that you're not experiencing any microphone feedback. Yeah, that's another big one that I don't enjoy noticing. I see that a lot with people on their phones, where most of the time the phone will cut that sound out, but there's also times where people are using their headset and they'll have they're on Zoom, they're using their phone, they have a pair of earbuds in with an earbud microphone, and then they start playing the speaker out of their phone and talking through the microphone wire, and we definitely hear through that. So that's one of those weird examples, but just not a presentable way to be during a meeting. So make sure your sources are closed and you're not getting any feedback or giving any feedback to your viewer. So that's that. So hopping right into going from one meeting place to another, which happens, you schedule a doctor's appointment, they want to use Google Meet, where work wants to use Teams, and your local community meeting is on Zoom. It's going to switch from time to time. As you work on it, you're going to dial in these sources, and hopefully they won't bounce around too much, but there is the chance that they will. So just knowing where these settings are. Again, up carrots for Zoom are my biggest suggestion when people ask me what's wrong with my audio, what's wrong with my video, where do I change that? Right here. Alternatively, if you wanted, you can go into your Okay, click on this little defender button here. Got your cogwheel loop. Okay, in your cogwheel. Oh my gosh. It's so upset with me right now because I'm doing way too much. Um, good example of overloading while on a meeting if you're ever experiencing, laggy videos and what have you. Oh my goodness, this computer's just not having it. Even with an i7 and 16 gigabytes, it's just not having it. Not enough cores. So back to it. You jump into the little defender button or the meeting information button, find your little cogwheel, get yourself over to settings. If you wanted to see a more detailed outline of where your audio and video settings are, especially before the meeting when it asks you to join and join with computer audio. It's going to also give you an option to test your audio and video devices. But you can go into the settings if you're already past that, like we are. You can click on video and you can go ahead and select which camera you're using right here. All right, so we have our options. It'll let you select through different ones. Okay, it won't use this one because OBS virtual camera is still working, and that's already working there. So as we see, everything's good. We have our nice corners again, looking nice. So there are some additional touch-up settings here, adjusting for low light or touching up your appearance. Don't play too much with that one, otherwise you'll look way too pretty. But yeah, and of course my favorite, your mirror button. Should you want to, make yourself change orientation. There are some other ones here for when you're joining. So you can turn off your video when you're joining. I think that's always a smart idea because I don't know about you, but when I'm running into a meeting late, I don't want everybody to know that I just ran in late. I want to give myself a moment to sit down, make sure everything looks nice, everything that I'm caught my breath, so you can turn that off as soon as you walk in the door and have to purposefully, press the go button on your video, or you can have it this, unchecked where it just automatically populates once you're satisfied with your settings and you're comfortable that they're going to show up as they will, and you show up to your meeting on time. So, this is more for your view settings, but those are the important ones for setting up your video settings. Again, with your audio, this is nice because you do have a little test feature. So you can, like I said, if you're going to use a headset, use the whole headset. Set your speaker and your microphone to the headset, and you can change the volume. This will change with, your audio settings. So as I'm turning up the volume on my computer, that's going to turn up there as well. Or you can just manually work it here. I've got a nice little volume dialer here, as well as, right on my laptop, no big deal. But that's what you're going to hear. And then you can test if you don't have anybody to play with, or you're in OBS, you don't have your little audio files going up and down, your wave files. So you can test your microphone. Testing, microphone test. Testing, microphone test. You can hear that sounds nice, and your output's okay. Your output level is just really what you're hearing. This is the input level, what you're putting in. So I found that when I'm setting up bigger rooms, like when we do council meetings or committee meetings, depending on the room and the echoing of the room, or fans and air filters are probably the worst. You may need to set up your background noise suppression. Setting it too high can deafen out you, which is no good. So I'd stick on the low and medium, depending on the situation. But if you really want to cut out the audience, you would put it on high. But in addition, you don't want to have high on in an echoey room or a room with an air filter, because it will also cut out the user. You can check that just by simply clicking it, doing your test, testing on high, testing on high. So I don't have a really big echoey room, and I do have, family in the background and kids in the background. We can't hear them at all either. So hang on one sec. Would you mind backing up to the room and just saying hi in one moment? Hang on one sec. All right, so hi Janelle, how are you? What's going on? So we're going to test that. Did that work? Hang on one sec. Let's try that one more time. Hi Janelle, how are you? I'm fine, thanks. Hi Janelle, how are you? Nice. So you couldn't hear her reaction at all, and she's a good, 20 feet away from me, maybe 15. So, nice little button there for, deafening any background noise. But again, it has to be pretty quiet in the main vicinity of the microphone for this to actually be effective. So I like to keep it at low. So I'm making sure that I'm catching myself. you are going to get more breathy kind of noises as well. So just be mindful of all these things when you're testing, and you can test it right here in real time. So I do really appreciate Zoom's audio setup settings because they're pretty easily laid out for how to do it. You can have Zoom kind of cover it for you, especially with the auto. Just be mindful that it's it's pretty good, but if you really want to fine tune all of your audio settings, you're going to want to play with that ahead of time and make sure that it works for you. So let's see. Again, you can also automatically join with audio, or you can have it not set up right when you start. So all these things are wonderful. All right, moving on. So before I head over to Google Meet, I thought it would be cool to show you how else you could use your view of your, your source of your virtual camera to really customize what your output is to your viewer. We're recording this right now through OBS in a separate instance. I wanted to show you what it would look like if I were to put myself in the bottom corner of this recording prior to moving on to any other steps. So I'm going to do that now. What I'm going to start by doing is taking myself. Like I said, we're going to shrink us down. And remember, this is your virtual camera of your entire output. Your virtual camera is going to consider everything in this black screen here. So we're going to go ahead and make a tiny little me. We're going to put us over here. Now, let's say I wanted to show my screen. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new source, and I'm going to screen share in my virtual camera, and that's going to show as my virtual camera, so I won't have to ever again click share screen in the meeting. I will already be doing so. If you're okay doing this, you have to understand that everything on this screen that you're going to set up is could be out in the open, so make sure it's not a sensitive screen. I have multiple setups for multiple screens so that I have sensitive information on one screen and my viewing screen for meetings or presentations like this one. So what I would do is we're going to go down to our sources box. We're going to add a new source. That source is going to be a display capture. Okay. So I have display one and laptop already generated on this one. We're going to make a new source again, and we're going to call it, for this instance, right screen, just because. And I have to quickly make sure I know which screen we're talking about. So display one or display two. So you're going to have this wonderful screenception when you're figuring out who's in what. Let's make this screen a little different so we know, okay, we're on this screen. Awesome. So we're going to bring that one back up. We know that's our screen, display 2. And we're okay with the automatic to be there. And if you want your cursor to be there, you keep that covered. If not, it will not show up in the capture. Because I do a lot of presenting and showing people where things are, I like to keep my cursor there, but that's up to you again. Okay, now we have streamception going on. Let's see here. All right, so now I'm going to move myself over here. You know what? We're going to keep us here for just a moment. Okay, now we have this big screen of ourselves. Let's now see, we have two sources now. We have the webcam and the right screen. The webcam is still here. It's just behind. Now they're going to work in these layers. So whatever's on top is above, and whatever's underneath is behind or below. So we're just going to move the scene up. I'm sorry, we're going to move webcam up, and now we're on top of the screen that we're presenting on. And if we click off of that, we're all there. Let me move our OBS away for a bit. Okay, cool. So now I'm showing myself on top of Google Meet. This is all coming from the source of my virtual camera. So, ta-da! We can totally test that in Google Meet. Let's go ahead and open up a new meeting. Start an instant meeting. Joining now. Okay, so that's just given us all sorts of trouble there. But you can see my screen now, and I'm still here. So let's go give that a try in Zoom, because we know that's working for us. Head over to Zoom. We're going to start a new meeting. Start that personal room again. All right, let's launch that meeting. Boop. Oh, sorry, clicked the wrong thing. Okay, before we get in, remember I said you can jump in and go straight to join with computer audio. Let's see if you can see. Yes. Okay, so you can go right into join with computer audio, or you can go straight into the advanced speaker and microphone settings. Oh, well, that's giving you a wonderful buzz that you're testing. You see that your speaker is your headset. Yes, that's working for me. And you can talk into your microphone and see your little waveform there. That's doing good. Talk into your microphone and see your little waveform there. It gives you a nice little test. Say yes. All right. Gives you a nice little test. End the test. And join with audio. All right. Very good. So we're in. We can see our microphone is moving around. Now let's go in, and we are, again, like I said, I'm doubling all the skills, but let's see here. So let's select our video source now, OBS virtual camera, and we're going to turn that on. Oh man, bad idea, but we're doing it. So let's stop here. We have to quickly stop. Oh my goodness. Stop it. Okay. Oh, such a bad idea. Let's just over here now, carefully. I'm going to move the meeting over so I very quickly. Okay. And it's backwards. Okay. This might not have been a great choice of how to show this, but if you wanted to see, yeah, it doesn't like anything I'm doing right now because I'm trying to do too much. But you know, I'm presenting and yeah, Streamception, welcome. So I hope that explained on how we can, you know, put a little tiny me in front of a permanently shared screen as your video source for a future meeting. Yeah, let's go into green screen. That might be more fun. Let's try that. All right, so we're back. We put up a green screen. What's a green screen going to help us do? So it's nice to be able to constantly share and have yourself in just a little offset corner, not have to worry about sharing screens constantly. It's just, you know, part of your virtual camera now, and your view, your sources all tidied up. With a green screen, though, we can make it a bit more immersive and like you're really in the scene that you're working in. So I found that doing this can kind of help with that. So same thing we were doing with filtering our image mask. We're going to be putting another filter on dealing with our green screen. So we'll find our source, which is our webcam. We're going to right click it, go on to filters, head over to our effect filters. We're going to press plus again because we're adding another one. The one we're going to add this time is called chroma key. This green here is called chroma green. There's chroma blue, magenta, different kind of colors that are used for green screen. For this one, we're just going to go with the one that's default, chroma key. color key type. This would be if you had those other colors, blue or magenta, or a custom color. You can really do anything as long as you're willing to adjust for that color. It's also good to note you don't want to be wearing similar or the same color as what you're adjusting for. That's for obvious reasons. You don't want to turn into the background. But yeah, so you're going to go in and adjust this filter as best we can. Due to the lighting, due to the setting that you're adjusting for, it can always be a little different. Once you have it dialed in for your lighting situation, it won't be so difficult, but everyone's different. So we're just going to start down the sliders from top to bottom and just kind of see what works and what doesn't. We can see already, like, we bring the similarity to the right, we're too similar, so we fade out. If we go the opposite way, we're going to be too different. So we have to find that happy medium middle where we don't fuzz out like the background's doing. So I'm kind of gauging off of this right here is the first thing I notice fuzz. So I'm going to go until that is solid. And I think 390 is going to be solid. No fuzz. And I just kind of like move and check and see kind of like what changes. I think that's okay. Smoothness. Bring that down to 80. And then once you get kind of a general feel, you can fine tune with the arrow keys. Color spill reduction. If you go all the way to the right, it's going to be like a black and white. All the way to the left, it's extra color. So again, find that happy medium that you like for your lighting. Opacity, we're going to want to keep that full because we are opaque. If we wanted to, like, not be so opaque, we could kind of fade out, but I don't find that really helpful. Sometimes it can help blend, just if you're doing ever so slightly off of one with the background, so you're not so rigid. However, full opacity is fine. The contrast is just more of another fine tune. You see the black of my hat and my it's just getting really nice and dark when the contrast gets low. That's a nice smooth edge. You don't see those greens as much around me. Yeah, and keeps me nice and vibrant, if you will. So nice and tidy. I'm gonna keep that over there. And then the brightness, again, it's gonna be dependent on your light. We don't want to go too dark, too light. Wherever I had it before, it was really good. And we're just trying to make sure we see a difference between skin tone and my sweater and stuff like that. Let's bring that back up to, I think it was at 0. I think you can just hit 0 and that zeroes it out. Let's test, okay, gamma is another one of those ones that we're going to be adjusting for. There we go. Nice. Okay, so this bright spot, I am not finding a way to get rid of it. Oh, it's over here. I do know how to get rid of it. We're going to move my light just so slightly. Okay, cool. So it's still, you can still see the edge where it's fuzz. And so for that, I'm going to play with it a little bit more until the fuzz goes away. But I stay here. Another thing we're going to do is we're actually going to remove the mask. We're going to hide it. You can just hit that little eye right here. That's actually going to, so with the mask, it kind of swoops up my arms at the bottom. And maybe I don't want that per se. But I'm going to take it off. Well, maybe I'll leave it. Depends. If you see up in the corner there, you have that nice like rounded ridge, and I don't necessarily want that ridge to be noticeable. So I'm gonna take it off and just kind of let it blend, but we'll see what it looks like once we have fingers or another one you have to be careful of. But so far so good. It's looking like we'll make it. So very cool, and there'll be some fun. There's some things I won't be able to get away with the darker spots in my green screen here. So we're going to just play with it and see what it looks like on the screen. So let me close that. Yes, it was a success. I could hear myself. Because we have our mic and audio, our webcam properties, again, remember, we set the source of our audio as a custom audio device, being our headset here. And that was perfect. So that is grabbing for us. We're using the LifeCam HD3000 as our webcam, making up our web source, or I'm sorry, our webcam source. And then on top, we have the, well, I'm sorry, in the background, we have our right screen as our, let's move this over here. Okay, so no OBS in sight. You just see me. I'm looking at it right now over here on this side. And yeah, we have a nice Ryan in the corner. And we can, feel free to compute as we would. Now we're in Zoom. You are seeing down here at the bottom, you've got like the shit. That's the those are my wrinkles, as you can see. If I were to pull that taut, it might go away. And it's just little fine tune adjusting from there. I don't want to lean forward because that makes me darker. I want to stay, nice and upright, or maybe even bring my light lower. It's pretty high up right now, so that could do something too. And yeah, it's all about adjustments and lighting, and that's the tricks with green screen. But yeah, so we're able to do that. And then just to make sure that our source is working with all the elements, let's go in and start another Zoom meeting. And let's not freak it out as much because we won't be running multiple instances of OBS Studios at the same time. And let's get a meeting going. All right, so here we are. Personal meeting room once again. And we will press start. I am a little dark, and we can adjust for that. So we'll join with our computer audio. We'll turn on our camera. Okay. Alrighty. Come on over, friend. And then, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're not placing things, you're not placing yourself, rather, in front of too many things. So if I know I'm over here in the corner, I don't want to be putting what I'm working on behind me, so I can't, show it off. But here's our meeting, and we will. Oh, so we have started recording, but we haven't. Oh, let me show you that. This is what I'm seeing. And I'll put that up in this corner, away from me. And I'll put our movie, our meeting. Right? When I said it wasn't freaking out, right? All right. The source is set for the virtual camera. The microphone is set for the same as system. Okay. Now that is going to be separate from this meeting. Oh, let me get us back on here. Boop. There we go. And OBS. Okay. So we're going to make sure we start the virtual camera so that something shows up. And I'm backwards. Okay. So I know that I'm backwards and I'm going to be sharing stuff. I don't want to be showing things backwards here. So I can do one of two things. I can either adjust it from the perspective of OBS, or I can adjust it from the settings in Zoom. Since we're in OBS, let's go ahead and right-click the whole scene itself. And just like we flipped our image of our camera, we're going to go ahead and flip vertical. Nope, don't flip vertical. You'll go upside down. That one always throws me off. Here we go. Let's do it again. Flip vertical. There we go. Right side up. And once more to flip horizontal. Transform horizontal. There we go. So the meeting is here. This is what the meeting looks like. You will look backwards in your own perspective there. Let's minimize that so we can just see what's important. All right. So I have a video of a video of a video. All right. Oh, I am backwards, aren't I? How about that? How about that? So, we just flip it back. Look at that. Play with this stuff before you employ it in real life, because it's important. So, let's make sure we go back into OBS. Let's flip it one more time. See, that's the thing. It's going to look fine in OBS. Studios right there. Transform. Flip horizontal. Oh, you know what? That's because we weren't looking at the whole thing. That is why we didn't flip all of it. So let's flip all this. The whole thing. Should be everything. Let's see. Maybe I have to flip them both. Display, filters, properties. And that's looking fine to me from my side of view. So let's just check again in the camera what it looks like. So here's me in the meeting. Looks like I'm backwards. But these things are hard to tell when we are recording, presenting, recording, presenting. It looks backwards to me, but everybody else might say differently. So, Well, aside from making sure you're flipped the wrong way, I hope you learned something about green screen, your sources, using the right ones in the right spots, some possible issues you can come up with. Create your own issues. I want to hear about those. But yeah, this can be incredibly helpful when you're presenting different things to your teammates, your boss, um, you know, vendors. It's nice to share your screen and what troubles you're going through. When I'm working with my networking team, our network engineers, I'll often use this view to kind of just share where we're at in our server and like things we're running into. Saves me from having to share my screen so much. They expect it, and there's nothing saying that I can't. Also, let's do this. Let's let's close down the meeting and well, we can keep the meeting. Let's see. We can also set up multiple scenes for yourself. Um, if you'd like. So let's say this is my chaotic share screen scene, right? And I want to add a new scene. Oh, if I do this, I'm going to lose myself, but I can create a new scene where it's only my camera. So if I want to flip back and forth instead of share screen through the meeting app itself, you'd be able to just switch your scene. Hang on. You wouldn't be able to hear me because I didn't have the audio set up on those scenes, but the idea is that you'd be able to switch those scenes, that you have different transitions as well you can play with and make sure that you've got, everything all running smooth. You can do it at hotkeys so that you can transition really quick, with a one click off the keyboard, forward and backward. There's ways to do it. It's very, very cool. So with that, I, enjoyed this project very much. Yeah, it takes a bit of hardware installation, software installation, knowing what your computer and machine is capable of operating, especially when you start multitasking in multiple different software pieces. If at the beginning of this we were trying to run it off of a virtual machine with an instance of OBS, with meetings, with downloading, it was running incredibly slow. Most of the time this won't be the case because you won't also be trying to teach people how to do it. You're just going to be setting it up for yourself and those you are hosting meetings for. And for that, hey, look at that. For that, it can be, um, it won't be as difficult, I hope. But if you have any trouble, it's all just Control Z. So like that. Ready? There we go. So have some fun, learn some things, press Control Z. Hope this can help in your meetings going forward. And yeah, happy meetings. All right, bye for now.